When enjoying the wealth and riches gotten from ill ways, the end of it is always painful. Later you'll pay the price of blood money.
In a quiet village nestled between vast hills and ancient forests, there lived a beautiful young maiden named Adanne. She was the pride of the village, with a heart as pure as the morning dew and a smile that could melt even the hardest of souls. Her kindness was legendary, and her beauty unmatched. She came from a humble home where her parents, both traders, instilled in her the values of hard work, integrity, and respect for the gods. But beyond the village, in the bustling cities where wealth was flaunted, a dark practice had taken root. Some young men, eager to escape poverty and live lavishly, had turned to internet fraud, deceiving unsuspecting victims online to amass fortunes. Yet, for some, the hunger for wealth went beyond trickery. They sought out the dark powers of blood rituals to ensure their riches multiplied. Among them were 4 young men, Dyke, Ibuka, Sly, and Chima. Once ordinary boys with dreams, they had grown impatient with the slow grind of honest labor. Introduced to the world of fraud by older friends, they soon found success but were always in search of greater wealth. One fateful evening, a mysterious man approached them at a nightclub. His name was Odom, an infamous spiritualist who promised them boundless riches if they could provide him with what he called the currency of the gods, the life of an innocent soul. Greedy and desperate, the young men agreed. But the victim had to be someone truly pure, a person whose blood would command the favor of the spirits. That was when they thought of Adanne. Dyke, the most charming among them, was sent to woo Adanne. He pretended to be a successful businessman, showering her with gifts and sweet words. At first, Adanne was hesitant. She had always believed in love built on trust, not wealth. But Dyke was persistent, and her friends whispered to her that she was lucky to have attracted such a wealthy suitor. Slowly, she let down her guard. One evening, Dyke invited her for a trip to the city, promising to introduce her to his family. Excited and naive, Adanne agreed, unaware of the doom that lay ahead. As they traveled deep into the night, the car suddenly stopped near a secluded forest. Fear gripped her heart when she noticed the sinister expressions on the faces of Dyke's friends, who had been waiting in the shadows. Before she could scream, strong hands grabbed her. She fought, kicked, and pleaded, but her cries were swallowed by the night. In a gruesome ceremony, her life was taken, and her blood was offered to the spirits. The young men believed they had secured their wealth forever. But the gods had other plans. The village awoke to a strange silence the next day. The sun refused to shine, and the birds would not sing. Elders gathered at the shrine, and the gods revealed the truth. An angered spirit would now seek justice. One by one, the young men began to suffer. Sly went mad, seeing Adanne's bloodied face in his dreams. Ibuka's hands, once used for deceit, withered away. Chima drowned in a river no one had ever seen before. And Dyke. He was found at the village square, confessing his sins before taking his last breath. Adanne's spirit found peace, but the village mourned. The elders decreed that no wealth born from blood would ever last. And so, the legend of Adanne lived on, a warning to those who sought riches through dark means. The gods do not sleep, and justice always finds its way home. The story of Adanne did not end with the tragic fate of her killers. The village elders sought to appease the gods, fearing that the anger of the spirits might bring ruin upon them all. They called for a great cleansing ceremony, where sacrifices of goats and fowls were made at the sacred shrine. The high priest, an aged man named Nadezi, fasted for 7 days before standing before the villagers to deliver the gods' message. Adanne's soul has found peace, but the stain of evil lingers, he declared. The spirits demand that we never forget. A shrine was built in Adanne's honor, where young girls would go to pray for protection and guidance. Over time, her story became a legend, a tale passed from generation to generation, warning the youth against greed and evil. But beyond the village, the curse of blood money continued to spread. Other young men, blinded by greed, ignored the warnings and ventured into the dark arts. Some succeeded momentarily, but the spirits always came to collect their dues. The curse reached its peak when Okafor, a distant relative of Dyke, met a fate even more terrifying than those before him. One night, his mansion burst into flames without explanation. His cries of agony echoed through the village, but when people rushed to the scene, there was no trace of his body, only ashes and the same red coin, now glowing with an eerie light. The villagers knew that the gods had had enough. Elders and priests gathered to perform the final atonement. The ritual demanded the ultimate sacrifice, a descendant of one of the cursed families. A young boy, Namdi, barely 10 years old, was chosen. But as the blade was raised to fulfill the god's demand, the ground trembled. The sky darkened, and a shadowy figure rose from the shrine of Adanne. It was her spirit, now transformed into a vengeful force beyond human comprehension. "No more blood shall be shed in my name," her voice echoed like thunder. "Let those who have feasted on evil face their own judgment." The villagers watched in terror as the spirits of those who had committed blood sacrifices were dragged into the abyss. Their screams rang in the ears of the living, a haunting melody of retribution. The shrine itself collapsed, swallowed by the earth, as if the gods had sealed the dark past forever. But there was no celebration. The price of greed had been too high. The land, once fertile, became barren. The village, once bustling, became haunted by silence. The last elder whispered, "We have won justice, but at what cost?" As years passed, the village faded into legend. Travelers who passed through claimed to hear whispers in the wind, and on certain nights, a sorrowful song could be heard, Adanne's lament, forever warning those who sought riches through evil means. And so, the tale ended, not with joy, but with a grim reminder: the death of blood never truly disappears. Yet, some say that Adanne's spirit still roams, watching from the shadows, ensuring that those who attempt to walk the path of blood money meet their own terrifying fate. Those who dare whisper the names of Dyke, Ibuka, Sly, or Chima in the dark claim to hear a woman's voice, whispering the final words of justice. The gods do not forget. The gods do not forgive.